And Atlanta was the perfect spot for him to get paid again because they've been adrift in no man's land at the quarterback position since Matt Ryan started to dip, and they were interested in Deshaun Watson a couple of years ago, and then they weren't interested in Lamar Jackson. Now they realize we better get interested in a 35-year-old quarterback with one leg, as you said yesterday. So it all made sense, and it all unfolded. And it's $180 million over 4 years, although it looks like it's a 2-year commitment at $90 with another $10 that would be offset if he goes somewhere else, if the Falcons decide after 2 years to move on. But that's that. And the Vikings, I go back to a year ago, Chris. It felt to me like the Vikings were, from an organizational standpoint, ready to finish the deal with Kirk Cousins, move on, and try to draft the guy that becomes their future. And that feels like exactly where they are. I didn't think that they should do it based on how he ultimately performed last year, but that's where they are.
Well, I mean, I don't think they thought they were going to be there, or they wanted to quite go there, honestly. I mean, it's where they are now. And I obviously triggered you there because you just went psycho in your start of your monologue there. I didn't mean to disrespect you yesterday. I was just trying to say that I didn't know anybody in that circle that knew that. I didn't know. That's where I just hadn't heard it.
Other than me.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody other than you.
You didn't really tell me anything off air or anything that you thought like for sure. So I didn't know. I mean, you didn't you don't always let me behind the curtain and be like, hey, I got a real good feel here. I didn't know that. So I wasn't sure. I thought you were kind of riding the hunch maybe of the whole school thing and we're looking for a home thing too. That was it. Usually with that type of move, I start to hear from a few people like, hey, this is real. This time it didn't happen. So, damn, I wasn't trying to disrespect you there, psycho. I mean, you didn't have to blow up. But either way.
Listen, I didn't blow. And listen, I didn't blow. You want to see me blow up, I'll blow up.
Well, you were on the verge of it, and then
you
were like, wait, let me keep talking here. But go ahead, yes.
No, it's just we're trying to have an entertaining show. When my wife was talking to Julie Cousins after we interviewed Kirk and KJ Osborne at the Super Bowl, and I walked over and said hello and listened to a couple of things she had to say. That's when I developed the very intense pasta and meatballs feeling that this is done. That's when when you're one of the benefits of being old, you kind of been around a little bit. Right. You've talked to people in different states of their life while they're going through stuff maybe you've gone through when you were their age, and you kind of pick up on the cues of the angst and the frustration because what do we have to do to get a fair contract from the Vikings? Not that she said it that way.
Right, but that's what she was implying.
But all the ingredients were there for them to go look. And so the one thing that I really kept my mouth shut about, Chris, And I never verified that there were conversations with Kyle Pitts about number 8. That was some of the stuff I got.
Yeah,
I made sure vetted, confirmed, people in the know. Yeah, that's going on. Yeah, schoolhouse. Yeah. There was this other little bit about Kyle Pitts and Kirk Cousins already talking about who's going to wear number 8, and I just kind of blurted that out last week on McAfee's show, and I hadn't verified it. And then Pitts comes out strong and says, oh, y'all will make up anything. And it's like, Kyle, you can't say if that's happening. Because that's the kind of thing, if that gets out, if he acknowledges that, the NFL is going to be up their butt with a microscope for tampering. Because even though the NFL never enforces the tampering rules, it's kind of like, if you're not dumb about it, if you're not blatant about it, we're not going to make a big deal about it. But when you get blatant about it, like the Dolphins were a couple of years ago with Sean Payton and Tom Brady, and it was kind of like known that, and they didn't really do much by way of exercising discretion. Once that happens, that's when you've got to worry about the NFL coming down on you. So he was never going to admit it. I'm not saying that it was true because I still never verified it at the time. But now it's a thing. Who gets to keep number 8? And he's thinking about moving to 84, his college number at Florida. And, again, the hay was out of the barn last week, or the horse was out of the barn, or something was out of the barn. And tonight I'm going to go to the barn and have a few stiff drinks.
Well, yeah, listen, it's a bold move. It really is. For Kirk Cousins, it is. I mean, what a contract. Like you said, it looks like it's 2 years, $90 million. We'll go from there. Gets the extra $10 million on there to make it $100 million guarantee. But yeah, I'll still stand by what I said yesterday as far as a football X's and O's thing. To leave a place where you have one of the 5 best offensive play callers in the game and an offense that's been rolling and has, O'Connell. I mean, it's rare to hear a head coach be as aggressively confident about their quarterback when he hasn't taken them to a Super Bowl or an NFC Championship game yet. And O'Connell, 2 years in a row was, I love Kirk Cousins. He's incredible. I want him to be a quarterback when we talk to him at the Combine or anywhere else. So that's where, to me, it is an extremely bold move. Now you're going to go to a new place, like we talked about yesterday a little, on one leg, not 100%, not really probably going to be able to contribute to OTAs and practice that way, right? And, of course, it is just a new team in general with a first-time play caller in Zach Robinson and him getting his feet underneath him. So that's where it's bold. I'm not saying it can't work. I think Atlanta is a pretty well-constructed football team. I picked them to win the NFC South last year. Quarterback was the issue. There's no doubt about that. But it's still a bold move to leave hey, we got a nice little castle over here, and we've been tearing it up, and everything's great, and we're kicking butt on offense, and you're leading the charge. To leave that and Justin Jefferson and all that, I still am amazed by it. I really am. And he's taking a risk, but not financially, that's for sure. But as far as on the field and how that works, yeah, there's a little risk there. But he's obviously comfortable with it and feels comfortable with Raheem, who he's got history with from back in the Washington days and Shanahan. And then Zach Robinson being under Sean McVay, he felt comfortable with him as well.
Yeah, and look, if it goes really well this year for the Atlanta offense with Kirk Cousins, what happens is next year there's a chance there will be a new offensive coordinator, just like what happened with the Buccaneers. Dave Canales comes in, first-time play caller. It works well with Baker Mayfield. Now Canales is gone and he's a head coach. That was never going to happen to Cousins in Minnesota. O'Connell was always going to be there, and I thought that would be a draw. That was when I first started to get, Chris, the inkling that maybe they weren't going to just be, okay, thanks for the 6 years, Kirk. We're moving on. We're breaking up with you. See, I always thought it was going to be we are breaking up with you,
that's
not
what
I am breaking up with the Vikings.
Right.
When we talked to O'Connell last year at the Combine and away from the set, but it wasn't really off the record. It wasn't like he was telling us secrets. Yeah. He was very effusive about the idea that this is the first time in years that Kirk's got the same person in his ear pre-snap. And he was very excited about that. It was like that little kid enthusiasm. It was oozing out of Kevin O'Connell last year at the Combine. And that's when I first started to think, maybe this isn't, competitive rebuild, which is just a fancy way of let nature take its course, which is a fancy way of we hope we stink, which is a fancy way of we want to get Caleb Williams or one of the guys at the top of the draft. And the problem is they had enough good last year that they're at number 11. That's where the plan kind of fell apart. They're not in position to get one of the top guys without moving up. And one of the other planks in my argument last year was Justin Jefferson becomes the trade bait to get all the way up to the top of the draft if that's something that they really want to do. Now, O'Connell told us that's not going to happen 2 weeks ago in Indy. But you know what, Chris? He's not calling the shots. He's clearly not calling the shots, or Kirk Cousins would be there. And it makes me wonder about the power dynamics. It makes me wonder about, is everyone on the same page? It makes me wonder how long Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell are going to be able to coexist. Is somebody going to make a power play behind the scenes? Is O'Connell going to decide, you know what, I'm out of here too. I'll let my contract expire, and I'll go somewhere else and be a head coach. And I don't want to be too doom and gloomish because I think that O'Connell is a guy that should be there over the long haul. He's proven enough to me over the first 2 years that he's the guy for the job.
Right.
But when you start ripping away pieces that he thinks will help him do his job better, it's gonna frustrate him. Yeah, hey, Kevin, you've shown that you can kind of take any quarterback we find and get the most out of them. Keep doing it. It's like, it's not easy. Guys, it's kind of, my life's a little easier when I got the same guy all the time. Instead of having to go, oh, let's do this guy. Well, let's get this guy ready. I mean, circumstances required him to do it last year, circumstances they couldn't control. Now it's their decision to thrust him into this Sam Darnold, and we'll talk about that more in a second, Jaron Hall, Nick Mullins, whoever they draft, and hope for the best. Or maybe, and again, we'll see who they get this year. Maybe they don't get the guy they like, and they continue the competitive rebuild for another year.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's the challenge. Where do you go from here? We
Right.
know where Cousins is going. Hey, one last thing about Cousins.
Yeah.
Before we turn the page on the Falcons side of it. I wonder how the contract is going to look as it relates to his physical. And I think back to the Jimmy G thing from last year.
Right.
With the Raiders. How he agreed to terms very quickly, and then it was time for the physical, and it's like, man, your foot's messed up. And they reworked the contract. And he was in danger of not getting a penny from the Raiders if he wasn't good to go when the season rolled around. I mean, how do you pass a physical right now if you're Kirk Cousins? An NFL physical.
Yeah.
Not a you're not going to die tomorrow physical. How do they account for the fact that he's not all that far removed from tearing his Achilles tendon?
Right.
How do they protect themselves?
I guess it's about, we're going in the right direction. Things look proper here, right? I mean, I'm guessing maybe they end up having a doctor that, of course, they look at to be maybe outside the Kirk Cousins camp or the guy who did the surgery to get a second look to tell them, how that doctor gauges it. You're right. It's a little different. To throw that type of money out there with a guy with this type of injury, yeah, it certainly is a little rare here. There's no question, So I'm guessing that's how that's going to go, Mike. Right? Like there's no way it's going to be total pass like you're saying. He's functional. He's obviously capable of dropping and jogging a little bit, and things are progressing the right way. But, yeah, I mean, ready to play football, run around, cut in the pocket, take off, run, do all that? No, I don't think we're there yet. You're right. So I'm not sure exactly how that gets worked out, Mike.
It's the biggest contract ever given to a guy coming off a serious injury, and it's something that kind of got lost in the shuffle yesterday. We've assumed he's going to get a big contract. It's the question of, is it the Vikings, is it the Falcons, or is somebody else going to swoop in at the 11th hour that we weren't thinking about?
Yeah.
But the one thing that I think we do need to think about now is, how will this physical go? What will it mean? How will the contract ultimately be structured? And this is one of the realities of the current system that allows negotiation but no visit until Wednesday.
Yeah.
He's not allowed to go there. He's not allowed to go in the building. He's not even allowed to set up a visit. It's such a weird system. It's what blew up on Brock Osweiler and the Texans 7-8 years ago. When they work out a deal, and they bring Osweiler to Houston after they work out the deal, and I think from the get-go, Bill O'Brien was like, what the hell are we doing here with this guy? So now you've got people who already know Kirk Cousins, and I don't think that's the issue. This is the Drew Brees type of issue. Like, if the current system was in place back in 2006, it's entirely possible the Dolphins would have had a deal in place with Drew Brees before he ever went to have a physical. It's possible. Now, I don't know that you would have done a deal with him with 25 studs in his shoulder, but that's the same idea. You're putting the cart before the horse.
100%.
You're doing the deal before you get a chance to poke and prod and inspect the player. We're just 2 weeks removed from the ultimate poke and prod fest of the scouting combine. The Falcons are making this commitment blind to where Kirk Cousins currently is. Oh, well, they can look at scans. They can get this. No, you're not allowed to talk to the guy. You can't do anything at this point. There's nothing you can do other than negotiate. That's the weirdness. That's
where I don't. That's the fudging and finagling that I would question in my history of football and knowing that I would think goes down a little here in this situation, right?
It's got to.
His doctor, whatever, they sent the MRI, the recent MRI. He knows, he got his people as far as in Kirk Cousins' camp to reach out to somebody in Atlanta that's in charge of the medical area for the Falcons football team. And I would think, yes, there was some of that. Let alone, I think the video was probably put out there just to soothe the Falcons brass and get them feel comfortable, get the fans to feel comfortable around that. But yeah, Mike, that's definitely one where, you talk about it all the time, or illegal tampering or whatever. Yeah, that's one where I think they probably have a little bit more of a educated feel for how Kirk Cousins is doing in this rehab and where he's at right now.
But see, that's what's dangerous, because if the unblinking red eye of the NFL ever decides to spin that way and investigate, that's when you start to have tangible digital trail.
Yeah, I got you. Right.
That can't be scrubbed away.
Right.
That's why tampering at the scouting combine is easy and rampant, because it's all face to face.
Right.
It's in person. There's no footprint. When you start sending MRIs from Dr. A to Dr. B, and Dr. A is connected to Cousins, and Dr. B is connected to the Falcons, and then Dr. B starts sending them to Terry Fontenot, Rich McKay, whoever, that's when people start really taking a risk.
Yeah.
And that's why you can't have the NFL pull the pin on a tampering investigation, because you're going to get nailed. You're going to get caught.
Right.
You're going to get busted.
Right.
And hey, and let's face it. Let's face it. I mean, the Falcons have been busted a couple of times over the years. They had a whole fake crowd noise thing that Rich McKay got exiled from the competition committee over. They had the Bijan Robinson thing they got whacked for, messing with the injury report. He was sick and they didn't tell anybody, and he barely played against the Buccaneers back in week 7, I think it was. So, there's reason for the NFL to at least be like, hey guys, don't, we usually turn a blind eye to all this crap.
Yeah.
But let's not be blatant here. So I guess my point is, to get to any level of comfort, Chris, they are taking a huge risk that there's going to be a back end to this where somebody at the league office says, you know what, they may have known too much before they committed to $100 million guaranteed.
I hear you, right? I mean, no doubt. I don't think the NFL or 345 Park really is going to care unless somebody cries foul, right? I think that's basically
or unless Kyle Pitts said last week, yeah, we are talking about him wearing number 8.
Right. Maybe if it was so blatant and in their face and throwing it at them that way. But yeah, these are ones generally that, again, this is good news. This is positive news. The Falcons are happy. We're talking about this to start the show. The NFL doesn't want to put a damper in this, right? I mean, usually this happens because it starts to be, wait, we can't avoid this. People like Florio and Simms have found out that this is going on. Sean Payton and Brady were talking to the Dolphins, let alone other things got thrown in their face, and people start to cry foul there a little bit, and then the NFL's forced to do it. That's where I just don't see it happening that way. But yeah, you're right about they better be careful. The other thing too, Mike, that I find interesting, you talked about the coach and the GM relationship there. That's one where, yeah, this is the type of move that might start the fracture, right? I mean, this is a huge, huge moment for the Minnesota Vikings and, of course, Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell's going, damn, here I am in year 3, right? Year 1 was great. Year 2, I lose my quarterback, tears his Achilles. I'm excited about it. Year 3, well, damn, now I got to go back to year 1, basically process and kind of get my new quarterback up to speed with the rest of my offense. And, our team's pretty damn good. And we were good last year, except for injuries and fumbleitis. And, they had a good day in free agency yesterday that we'll get to later, right? So that's a huge blow to Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings offense in the direction they were headed in. And, of course, now, they're kind of going into the uncharted waters of the unknown of, hey, we think Sam Darnold's real good, right? We liked him coming out of college. We liked the way he looked last year in preseason for the 49ers. Shanahan, we've heard through the grapevine likes him and all of that type of stuff. But, yeah, they're in a tough spot right here in a year where it kind of looked like, hey, maybe the Vikings will turn the corner here and be a real pain in the butt in the NFC in 2024. And now it's kind of back to, well, we don't know. We'll see how Sam Darnold comes along. We'll see what they do in the draft. We'll see how this shakes out. And that's where it's a big blow to your football team, and I'm sure Kevin O'Connell is feeling it today still.
And look, we're not trying to gratuitously stir up shit here, but think about the things O'Connell said to us just 14 days ago.
Yeah, they were strong.
Fully aware of the plan.
Right.
Fully aware of the plan.
Yeah.
Right? The plan is competitive rebuild. The plan is, and it made me think of the old Meineke car commercial, I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler. The Vikings' idea was we're not going to pay a lot for Kirk Cousins. We're not. So O'Connell knew all that, and he was still all in with keeping Kirk Cousins, which meant, hey, maybe you have to pay more than you thought you were going to have to pay. Maybe we shouldn't be so rigid. Maybe we shouldn't be so stubborn. Maybe we shouldn't be so inflexible. And he shot his shot. It didn't work. And so, yeah, you'll wonder what kind of a ramification there is, what consequences are, how do you get everybody back on the same page moving forward? Because for O'Connell to say what he said, the implication is maybe they aren't on the same page.
Yeah.
And if they're not on the same page about the most important position on the field, what else are they not on the same page about? So that's an issue. And this gets back to the whole Stephen Ross Miami dynamic where the owners don't live in Minnesota. The Wilfs live in New Jersey. How often are they there? What goes on when they're not there? Is everybody getting along the way they should? Is everybody saying you betcha and being Minnesota nice to each other? Or is there something brewing? This is a tangible piece of evidence that we look at and say, they may not be on the same page here. And again, if they're not on the same page about this, what else are they not on the same page about? The statement that came out yesterday, the other thing too, you got to be sensitive to your fan base and to the media. And I know there's something to be said for secrecy and keeping the cards close to the vest and being prepared for whatever may happen and not wanting to undermine your strategic objectives by running your mouth. But, the fact that O'Connell was so strong on wanting to keep Cousins creates confusion.
Yeah.
For the fans.
Sure.
What are we doing here?
Right.
What are we doing here?
Our head coach
you made
wants
everybody
this
wait.
Guy. He wants him. Right.
You made your fan base, your paying customers wait until yesterday at 2:30 Eastern time when they find out, well, shit, there he goes. Gee, thanks for the heads up, Vikings. So that's another business issue that you need to be thinking about. And these are great case studies for how to deal with these situations and how not to deal with these situations. But I suspect there's a lot of upset Vikings fans today that thought, well, hell yeah, we're going to keep this guy.
Yeah, I'm sure. For a lot of the reasons I thought. Well, why would he want to leave? Our coach is saying they like him. We got things going in the right direction. Damn, before he hurt his ACL, his Achilles last year, it was kind of like, ooh, watch out. The Vikings look like they're turning this around. They're about to get hot here. He was playing good football. We know that. So I'm sure there are Viking fans today that are in shock. How could you not be? I'm in shock. I'm not even a Vikings fan. I'm one that's sitting here going, oh, this is kind of fun, the dysfunction. I'm going to have fun watching Florio, not sure how to handle this and what to think of the Vikings here going forward, right? But yeah, it's a big day, a big blow to the Vikings organization. And, on top of that, right? You lose your quarterback, you do that. And, Mike, I'll say yesterday, we talk about, hey, the offense is set and we got a lot of good things and Cousins and all that, right? There's two things that jump out to me here. The first thing is man, it changes the draft dynamic like you brought up earlier. Them being at number 11 now makes them, ooh, wait, are they going to be in play for a quarterback here? Will quarterback number 4 in the NFL or whatever, will he be on the board at 11, or maybe quarterback number 3? Do they have to trade up and make a move? So that all comes into play here, of course. And the Kirk Cousins things wipes away, too, a good day in free agency for the Vikings. I thought you guys had 3 of the kind of under the radar, okay, not the star name, right? Not the guy we're going to pay $150 million to, but that ooh, this is a really good crop of guys. They don't maybe have the star power, but they're going to make this deal. Blake Cashman, he is a hell of a middle linebacker. Andrew Van Ginkel, right? A guy from Miami that Brian Flores drafted when he was down there or was a part of that organization when Flores was there. He, linebacker, pass rusher. And then Jonathan Greenard, from Houston. I mean, he's a hell of a player. So you improved your team yesterday, but nobody else is going to be able to look at that because it's going to be like, well, I don't know if we did improve our team because we lost our starting quarterback, and what the hell are we going to look like? And that's the unfortunate part for the Vikings too.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.